So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this important session, and we're very happy to be joined by Mr. Alok Kumar, respected Secretary Power. Thank you so very much, sir, for taking our time and being a part of this very important sessions. In fact, since morning, as we have been discussing and deliberating on this green energy transition, we invite your views. May I request the dignitaries to please grace the dais. Mr. Alok Kumar, respected Secretary Power, may I request you, sir, to please join us here on the dais, please. Dr.Ajay Mathur, Director General of the International Solar Alliance, inviting Mr. A. Nithyanand, Business Head, Sembcorp Energy India Limited, Mr. Tulsi Tanti, the Chairman, IWTMA, and Mr. D.V. Giri, Secretary General, IWTMA. And once again, welcoming him in the gathering. Mr. A. Nithyanand. Thank you. And to Mr. Tulsi Tanti, the Chairman, of course, of IWTMA, is the Chairman and the Managing Director of Suzlon Group. So at the very onset of this important session, I invite Mr. Tulsi Tanti for his views on turbine manufacturing and Make in India. As we've been hearing since morning, and we all are also aware as we're talking about this green transition path, and of course about stimulating our economy, India reaching the $5 trillion mark. We've also, our Honorable Prime Minister has also been said that this progression, this transformation which we are aiming for India, the green path which we are aiming, it has to be that Make in India and a self-reliant India. So turbine manufacturing and Make in India, his views, we request Mr. Tulsi Tanti, the Chairman of IWTMA, and also as the Founder, Chairman and Managing Director of Suzlon Group.
So very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Honorable Sri Alok Kumarji, Secretary, Ministry of Power, Mr. Ajay Mathurji, and my colleague. Sir, today is the great time and opportunity for India to build differently than what we are doing in the renewable energy space. The very high priority is Atmanirbhar Bharat, and that is giving good initiatives how to bring a more and more manufacturing base, not just for the domestic market, but for the export of the product, technology, service, and projects, and the process to the other part of the world. I think that's a great window of opportunity we have. We compliant the government of one of the world's largest renewable energy expansion program with the target of 175 gigawatt installation renewable energy by 2022. And today, we are really good, happy to say almost 140 gigawatt is installed and commissioned, but almost 30 to 40 gigawatts is in the pipeline. So we are close to that. If last 2 years, the COVID has not affected, we have crossed the 175 gigawatt also. I also congratulate the Indian governments and the historical green hydrogen policy which has recently announced, which can again drive and make a market demand opportunity is a higher side. Because yesterday the renewable energy was utilized to reduce the coal consumption. But now after the COP26 and our Prime Minister commitment in Glasgow, is the new initiative has started how we can replace the oil. And that through the renewable energy, it's a great window of opportunity for all of us. The green hydrogen will play a large role in Indian energy transitions and will open up the vast opportunity for growth for the renewable energy sectors. Our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Bhai Modi has given us the clear direction when he has given us the vision of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, along with the renewable energy capacity expansion in the country. It is encouraging to see the private participation in India's renewable sector is on the rise, and more companies are interested to build their manufacturing capacity in the country because world is looking alternate supply chain. An alternate supply chain window is extremely good for the India, and we are in a very good positions to leverage that opportunity just for domestic market, but very high potentiality for export market. The large Indian conglomerates have increased their exposure in RE manufacturing, and more companies is entering in the manufacturing base in the country. On the other hand, the foreign companies are showing their confidence in India by expanding their tie-up with the Indian companies, and also they are coming with their 100% subsidiary company also in the country. This is facilitated by the highly conducive policy environment and steady influence in the capital and new technology is moving. And so many global companies has established their R&D and engineering setups in the country also, which is a very good initiative in last 5 to 10 years has happened, which is creative solutions and innovative solutions are coming. It is a matter of pride that the wind energy industries are truly an example of Make in India or Atmanirbhar Bharat. As you know, the wind industries in India is the last 3 decades are working and fully, completely established, home-driven the supply chain, which is the best part. It's not just a domestic manufacturing, but if you don't have a fully integrated supply chain in the country, it's very difficult to produce the final product. And the best part is there from India, in the last 10 years, more than 20 countries our product has exported. Not only that, yesterday we are producing just 2 megawatt product and everything. Today, some of the component manufacturing companies are producing 6 megawatt size of the gearbox in the India, and they are exporting other part of the world. So that is a technologically and manufacturing and supply chain competency is fully established. To be honest with you, it's a truly Atmanirbhar sector, and industries are already proven with the track record. These mature industries manufacture wind turbines at the lowest cost producers in the world. It's very difficult by the neighboring country to compete us, but India product and technology has developed so competitive way because of the homegrown the supply chain. We are competing any part of the world. More than 25,000 crore rupees investment happens in the country for 15,000 megawatt manufacturing capacities we have, and almost 90% localizations are happening in the India, which is a really good achievement is there. The ecosystem is supported by the robust supply chain with over more than 4,000 SME companies, MSME companies are working and doing that, and more new startup companies are entering in this sector to accelerate their manufacturing base. It is a job creators for the educated rural youth areas, because we have seen the most of the capacity is coming rural part of the country, and more the rural the talents we can able to accommodate in the countryside and to give the long-term sustainable jobs. There is a huge opportunity for the export for the India to become a net foreign exchange earner in this particular sector. The manufacturing fraternities has the technology to accelerate entry into the offshore manufacture very rapidly, because we have a more than 100 gigawatt potentiality of the sites are ready to go, so that we can harness those offshore power and we can convert into green fuel, so that we can reduce our import of the oil contents from the international market, and we can make our economy more and more stable, sustainable, and greener. Same time to create a long-term sustainable jobs for all of us. India has always been the thriving manufacturing economy with the easy availability of the very high skilled talents in this sector is established, and established the full supply chain with 4,000 MSME companies. The vibrant MSMEs community is supporting the value chain and also doing lots of creative, innovative, and small jugaad innovations approach, which is making our final product is very, very competitive. The good engineering capability and planning expertise we have in our country, and it is giving a lot of value additions for the life cycle cost of the turbine management. That is another good achievement of the country is there. World-class manufacturing process and quality and health and safety is fully established. so that any global MNC company can establish their manufacturing base here for the global export market. Inherent cost advantage and access to the excellent R&D expertise talents are available in the country, and some of the institutes are also working in this field to provide more and more talent for the renewable energy R&D technology. This is even true for renewable energy manufacturing, since we have a high potential and thriving domestic market to support and sustain the manufacturing ecosystems. However, there are some issues which are preventing us for unlocking our nation's true wind energy potential to convert into the reality. The production link incentive schemes to wind sector is misunderstood with the 70% localization. I think administration believes that wind is mature industries and 90% or 70% domestic manufacturing is happening. Why there is a need of PLI things? But I think there is a misconception and misunderstanding is there, because these are the product and technology which is nearly 2 megawatt size. Now world has gone to the 5 megawatt size of turbine. We have to produce 4 megawatt, 5 megawatt and 6 megawatt turbine for onshore and offshore. And for that, we have to incentivize the MSME and manufacturing company by providing the PLI. And we are requesting to the government to relook for the wind sector PLI and to provide them so that we can able to commercialize the larger capacity turbines faster in India and to make a competitive landscape, not only for the domestic market, but if this supply chain will be developed in India, we have a great opportunity to make India as a global manufacturing hub for the wind sector for the world market. And that is why initial stage, some PLI supports for the wind sector is required to bring down the LCOE cost down for the larger size of the turbine. There are some other proposals as well as to accelerate the growth of the sector like this. We have lost the domestic investment opportunity because most of the investment is coming from the international market and FI investment. But the initial stage is lots of domestic investment opportunity is required. That's why the feed-in tariff mechanism should be introduced in the state level for the less than 50 megawatt project, so that domestic investor can able to invest in this sector for the captive requirement and for the local investment. The new policy for open exchange to have a 3 months banking system. Currently, this is the biggest challenge and barrier is there for the growth of the sectors. The three months banking systems are must required for the captive power requirement through the open access. If it is addressed, I think we can able to bring more manufacturing capacity in the country, not for the wind and solar manufacturing company, but all other manufacturing company, they can go for captive power requirement. With the support of the banking systems, it will unlock and they can hedge their power costs for next 25 years. And that will make their product very competitive in the global market to make the manufacturing capacity sustainable in the country. The rationalized GST, uniform GST for the goods and service in the wind and the bring power under the ambient. Currently, each and every component or turbine what we are producing, we have to pay the lots of GST, project GST and everything. But unfortunately, there is no GST on the power cells. If we can bring a power cells GST, then it's a pass-through will happen and that cost will reduce and cost of energy or tariff we can able to reduce on the wind power. The promoting state-wise bidding on a central procurement for all inclusive growths for the bundling of power, which will be below the national average the cost. Currently the reverse bidding process, it is not sustainable is there, and because of that it's become a barrier for the growth and we are not able to unlock the potentiality of the wind sectors. And that's why last 5 years, almost 1,500 megawatt capacity per year is coming, irrespective of the 15,000 megawatt potentiality of the manufacturing we have. Because reverse bidding is killing the pricing and everything, and that because of project is not becoming viable. Second is the 8 windy states in the country is there, and it's not a uniform plant load factor is that like solar. So because of that, when the bidding process is coming out, where the highest wind is there, only that states goes the bid. And because of that, last 5 years, the Tamil Nadu and Gujarat has this capacity, and another 5 states, they don't have any capacity utilization. So we have requested to the government to do all 7 states simultaneous bidding, and then the different tariff will come, and it should be bundled, and then it's sold to the SEB. By doing that, we can straight away, by changing the process, we can unlock the potentiality from 1,500 megawatt to straight away 15,000 megawatt we can able to install and commission, so that we can able to achieve 500 gigawatts of our target by 2030. Otherwise, it's very difficult to reach that target. As a global action against the climate change is gaining momentum, and countries across the world has set ambitious renewable energy target. But I see today world is looking differently, and priority of the renewable energy sector is not just to mitigate the climate risk, but the topmost agenda and priority is energy securities. And that momentum has come really very good, and it is giving a great opportunity for India, because 90% fuels we are importing. And if we really harness the more and more renewable energy, convert into green fuel, our oil import contents can be reduced drastically, and we can make energy net exporter by 2047. The task is huge and timelines are urgent. The world is racing for install large-scale renewable energy projects in which wind energy will play the leading roles. In such a time when the global demand has outrun supply, and inherent strength of the India provide a unique window of opportunity for global players and investors to participate in the highly profitable sector of the renewable energy and the wind manufacturing capacity and component manufacturing in the country. There has never been the better time that now the participates in India renewable energy growth the story. I'm confident that if we address the issues highlighted above, we can create a robust wind energy export economy and attract the global quality investment in our wind energy manufacturing sector, so that we can unlock the potentiality, and same time we can achieve our target. But the most important, we can bring energy security and create a long-term sustainable jobs. I think there is a great time and future for the wind sector growing forward. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, sir, for your views, and also being the voice of the industry, impressing upon the decision makers and policy makers upon certain issues and challenges from the industry side, which requires the attention of the policy makers. And ladies and gentlemen, as we are talking about India becoming self-reliant in the green energy and also casting its more global footprints, herein we invite views of Mr. S. Nithyanand on the prospective on deployment of large-scale investment for capacity addition. As we go about with this capacity addition plan, the investment required. I invite Mr. S. Nithyanand, Business Head, Sembcorp Energy India Limited, for his address.
Thank you. Shri Alok, Kumar, Dr. Mathur, Mr. Tanti, industry colleagues and friends, good afternoon. At the recently concluded COP26, India took a very firm position on its role in controlling climate change and announced firm commitments in its intent by 2030. We committed to a 45% reduction of carbon intensity contribution to our GDP, sourcing 50% of our total energy requirements from renewable energy, increasing our non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatts, a reduction of 1 billion tons of GHG by India. These are no mean and small intents, and achieving and striving to achieve these goals is very important to us for a variety of reasons, not just economic. India is expected to be the third largest energy consumer in the world. We are no more a fringe player in the energy game. The renewable industry is a major employment creator, and more so the wind sector, with its intense focus on local manufacturing. The industry has the potential to create as many as 3 million jobs if left unfettered with the right policy measures. And achieving these goals is about our economy, about numerous jobs, energy security for a fuel-hungry nation, and also playing our part in controlling greenhouse gases. We need large-scale investment, very large. At some measures, we need as much as $500 billion, $300 billion for investing in renewable infrastructure, $50 billion in grid firming investments, $150 billion in our transmission and distribution networks. And so far, our investment record, though good, has not come close to what the real requirement is. High load factor expectations, new technologies, grid stability requires the wind sector, the manufacturers, the OEMs, IPPs like us, to step up our game. The time is now, and significant amounts of equity and debt will come into this sector. It's imperative it will happen. As an investor, Sembcorp is well in this game, and we are aware that it is imperative that some key issues, however, be addressed by regulators, by the government, as well as us, the private sector. Firstly, it's important that robust DISCOMs are an imperative for our country. We need long-term, viable, cash-rich initiatives to improve their finances at both the center and the state level. The IPP industry needs to receive automatic pass-throughs for its claims. Most of us spend inordinate amounts of money and time in pursuing these claims at regulators, at APTEL, high courts, Supreme Courts. Our OEM industry, once a prosperous industry, has had a tough patch, needs incentives required to bring it back to become a healthy, robust bedrock of our growth. The industry faces no shortage of issues at the ground level on execution. We have land constraints, grid alignment to bids, and bringing the local bureaucracy, whose support we very much require in execution, into alignment with the goals of the center as well as the state is critical. Global debt and capital needs contract sanctity. Attempts to renege on contracts to lower costs have impacted to some extent the industry's goodwill, and we can't afford any such further occurrences. The timely resolution and adjudication of disputes are critical for the development of this sector. Our tribunals need to be manned quickly, efficiently, so that they can dispense justice. The industry needs operational cash flow, regular, steady, and dependable. We need to establish a payment security mechanism for power procurement, which has remained in the works now for some time. Over the last few decades, over the last decade really, renewable financing has evolved to support industry. However, a lot more needs to be done. We need agility in appraising and approving project finance. We need fixed rate, long-term pricing. Something that was once considered a given has now vanished. Increased flexibility on the usage of surplus funds by IPPs, which are often restricted. Bring greater depth into bond markets. And external ratings for benchmark rates by banks will give us far more certainty and assurance when we borrow money. The industry's financing requirements are significant, and so let's not fool ourselves thinking that the solution lies only in the regulatory and political domain. In order to attract greater equity and debt funds into the sector, we need to enable easier cross-border financing by allowing automatic approvals for ECBs for refinancing Indian rupee loans and bonds, and do away with thin capitalization rules that today restrict the flexibility in financing. We also need to broaden the bond market and allow greater flexibility in the ability of these funds to participate in the market. These efforts will create an alternative market to borrow from and reduce the stress on our current banking system. The wind industry has, over the last 5 years, 6 years, lagged the solar industry. We all know the reasons. And our policy makers are already beginning to look at this in order to step up and improve the entire wind chain. As India moves towards storage, greater priority on RTC and hybrid tenders, there is no moving away from wind energy. Building wind capacity and ensuring a womb-to-tomb healthy industry is critical. There are massive repercussions on all of us from how we manage these issues and evolve towards a vibrant and healthy sector. Some of us have been in the infrastructure industry long enough to remember there have been sunrise sectors of the past in India which have struggled and today are seeking SOPs from the government. It's an absolute must that India evolves the right strategy and policy framework for today's sunrise sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, probably DISCOMs are one of the most weakest link in the entire supply chain of the power sector. So preparing DISCOMs and robust DISCOMs for the larger footprints which we are now going to be seeing for the renewable energy. We now invite the views of our respected Secretary Power. I request Mr. Alok Kumar as Sir speaks on absorption of renewable energy and the role of DISCOMs.
Yeah, good afternoon. My co-panelists, Shri Tulsi Tanti ji, Mr. Nithyanand, Dr.Ajay Mathur, dear delegates. It's a very vast and very difficult topic to compress into 10 minutes. I'll try to see how much justice can I do. Almost every day we read about energy transition and we talk about energy transition. Whether in media or in government meetings or policy, everywhere in the walks of life. We all know there are two main pillars for India's energy transition, the larger share of renewable energy and more intensive energy efficiency, energy conservation. Whenever we talk about energy transition, normally it is taken in the context of climate change. We take it slightly differently. Climate change, addressing climate change is one of the priorities, it's all right. But we need energy transition for our energy security. India imports very heavily oil. We are importing coal. We are dependent so much. And we see all around us the difficulties countries are facing. So India needs to do its energy transition to secure its energy security. As I shared with you, the energy transition, half the outcome will come from larger penetration of renewable energy. And it has been so in the last 5-6 years. Whatever reduction in India's emission intensity we have achieved, half of it has come almost from renewable energy penetration. So it's very, very important. And our entrepreneurs, our investors, policymakers, regulators, DISCOMs, states, everybody, all have come together to achieve this very spectacular progress in renewable energy. We talk with a lot of pride everywhere, wherever we go in India, outside India. And India has done a very spectacular progress in renewable energy penetration. Let us talk about the role of DISCOMs when we talk of renewable energy penetration for energy transition. I was hearing Tulsi Tanti ji, he was saying that we need 3 months banking for wind energy and renewable energy. My earlier speaker was saying something about automatic pass-through and all. We have to appreciate the perspective in which DISCOMs are functioning. DISCOMs are functioning in the perspective of state level. And they are serving millions of consumers, and large number of them come from very poor families. Say if you see India's per capita income, the affordability of electricity becomes a real issue. Somebody may say political issue, somebody may say social issue, economics issue. Everybody will have different perspective, but affordability of electricity for a large population of India is the real thing which a DISCOM is facing. DISCOM is a utility, and it has to see the social, economic, and political perspective. But at the same time, DISCOM is the vehicle which will make India's energy transition a success or otherwise. Because almost 80 to 90% of whatever you produce, you generate will be bought by DISCOMs, will be distributed to DISCOMs, and they will be expected to recover the revenue and pay to the generator, to transmitters and everybody, coal producers. So DISCOMs are working in a very different perspective, and I will request that maybe a wind turbine manufacturer or somebody, an IPP or a financier, will have to sit together on a table, and we'll have to share each other's perspective. In what perspective the DISCOMs are functioning, and whatever DISCOMs they do or they don't do has a huge implication for state finances. So if you see in the last 3-4 months, there have been a lot of talks about free electricity of 150 units per month, 300 units per month. All of it relates to the financial health of DISCOMs and also the state finances, because the states are supposed to pay subsidies to them in time, pay for the coal, pay for salaries, pay for investment. But let me enumerate 3-4 important dimensions for which DISCOMs will be playing a very crucial role. We are talking of larger electrification of our energy supply. So whatever is outside electricity will come into electricity, large part. Today we are at 18%, it will turn to around 35% in next 20 years. So more and more energy of India will be handled by DISCOMs. If you see around us, say, electric vehicles, they will also consume electricity. If you think of electric cooking in household, it will be also through DISCOMs. MSMEs will be converted to electricity. There are processes which are there converted to electricity. Renewable energy is not only on grid scale. We are talking of 5 megawatt turbine, but India's policy is to promote decentralized application of renewable energy through KUSUM, through rooftop and all. So the bottom-up approach will require DISCOMs to be very modern, very IT-driven, and to interface with so many of generators at ground level, at village level, and also the prosumers. Whatever you produce as renewable energy, most of it is intermittent and seasonal. Wind is available for 6 months in a year, then it goes away. Sun is available only one third hour, say in an hour, then it goes away. It is intermittent. We have to absorb that intermittency and seasonality in a larger pool, and that is mostly done at DISCOM level. So whatever we do in Government of India or in CRC and all, this is all policy and framework. But actual absorbing the intermittency and seasonality of renewable energy is done by DISCOMs. They handle their power portfolio, what is happening in which month, which hour of the day, which day. It's a very critical role. And they have to be financially sustainable. Otherwise, India's energy security or India's energy transition will not be able to achieve what we are looking for. So if you see now these 4 or 5 dimensions, you see how complex is the working of DISCOMs, how critical their role is to the whole efforts we are talking today and we have been talking about. So I will again repeat, we have to share each other's perspective and come to a position which which is doable for all the stakeholders. Let us not take position A, position B, or position E, or position D. So let us all work together. What Government of India is doing, somebody was talking about PPAs, but our institutions are really working. There is an order from Andhra Pradesh High Court, which we have circulating to all the states. They have come out very clearly that no, you have to honor PPA and you have to pay to them. You know, the Supreme Court had in a contempt order made Rajasthan to pay for about 10,000 crore for the Gencos payments. So have faith in our institutions, our courts, judiciary, regulators, and our tribunal. They are working, and that is why India is able to attract such huge quantum of investment in its renewable energy. It is one of the best destinations in the world. So our systems are working, all of us are working. For ensuring the financial viability of DISCOM, to have larger penetration of IT in their functioning, be it smart meter or SCADA, to bring them back to a financial say, track. Government of India is implementing a revamped distribution sector scheme. It's a huge scheme, and we are very thrilled. We are very happy that almost every DISCOM of the country has come forward to accept those reforms and conditionality. Of course, implementation will be challenged, but there is without making much noise or much halla-gulla, there is a general acceptance for the reforms, conditionalities, and these DPRs, these projects are coming to us after approval of the state cabinet, not any principal secretary or chief secretary. And we have sanctioned almost half of the states have been sanctioned, others will be sanctioned in due time. So RDSS is not just financial infusion, it has two more dimensions. One is the deeper penetration of IT through smart meters and SCADA and all other associated systems, so that they are well prepared to absorb that intermittency and that seasonality of the renewable energy. Government of India is going to come out with the RPO trajectory very soon for the next 8 years, so that there is enough demand for renewable energy from DISCOMs. You must be happy to know that SECI has come out with a tender for 1,000 megawatt hour of battery storage. That is a very big start, very big beginning in India for our energy transition and absorption of renewable energy. And 1,000 megawatt hour bid is unheard in the world. Nobody has done it in a single bid in the world. It was highest was only 400 megawatt hour. We have come out with a policy of bundling of renewable energy with the conventional energy power plants. And we are going to allow them target something around 15 to 20,000 megawatt is going to come in next 2 to 3 years. That will be silently bundled along with the coal power and will be absorbed in the system. Same transmission line, same PPA. So there are various measures we have taken. The general network access is one revolutionary thing which Government of India has done, and CRC now finalizing the regulation. It has made life so simple for generators, taking connectivity, taking access to transmission access. So there are several measures. I will summarize only saying the role of DISCOMs is absolutely critical to growth of renewable energy and for success of India's energy transition. We have to understand the ecosystem and the perspective in which DISCOMs are functioning in India, understand their perspective and work for a common framework so that DISCOMs can deliver what we are expecting, not only for renewable energy developer, but also to the state governments, to the people of India. And we have to see that energy is affordable. So, Mr. Tanti may not like what I'm going to say. The tariff has to be competitive. It has to be viable, but has to be competitive. See, the era of feed-in tariff is over. Nobody will accept costly energy. DISCOMs will not buy it, and they should not buy it. I am very clear in mind. So we have to see that transition is carried forward in a way that it is competitive, it is affordable, it is transparent, it is financially sustainable, and it's technologically you can absorb the seasonality and intermittency of what you produce. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your views. And as you said, that the DISCOMs are preparing themselves for this wider role and for this wider penetration of the RE in the country. But then there has to be a common framework for their effective functioning, which all have to work together. And now I request Dr. Ajay Mathur, the Director General of the International Solar Alliance, for his keynote address.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Shri Alok Kumar, Shri Tulsi Tanti, Shri Nithyanand and friends. It's a pleasure to be back at Windergy. The fact that we are all here in person makes such a change from the Zoom culture that we had gotten used to. What I'd like to do today is to share a progressive move towards the development of green hydrogen and the use of green energy, green electricity, wind and solar electricity in the production of green hydrogen. We note that hydrogen is enjoying an unprecedented political and business momentum. And the number of projects and policies around the world that are produced relating to hydrogen is immense. They are expanding rapidly. We therefore believe that it is now time to scale up technologies and bring down the costs to allow hydrogen to become widely used. Hydrogen, I must start off by saying it offers a possibility to change the way in which we use energy. Shri Alok Kumar talked about the fact that renewables and energy efficiency together have the potential to enable the energy transition. I believe hydrogen is an area where, because of the kinds of efficiencies that we see in the use, as well as its ability to be produced by renewable energy, together enables us to completely change the way in which we are looking at the energy scenario of the future. For us gathered here, hydrogen enables renewables to provide an even greater contribution. It has the potential to help the variable input that we get from wind and solar to, the problem that we face is that the production is not matched to use. But hydrogen allows us an option to enable that. It is a promising and in the future, not today, but in the future, a low-cost option of storing electricity over days, weeks, and even months. I believe that as its greatest ability. Now, the problem is that there have been several false starts in the past as far as hydrogen is concerned. In this country, I think we have had 3 hydrogen missions or hydrogen commissions, and we are now on to the 4th. What is the difference? I believe the difference is the emphasis on the use side. This makes a huge difference. I will note, though, that globally, the attention to demand side of hydrogen does not match the emphasis that we are placing on policies that help the supply side of hydrogen, but I believe that it will happen together. I also want to focus on the fact that as far as the renewable energy industry is concerned, today we largely use grid electricity wherever electrolyzers are used. And to the best of my knowledge, the total use of electrolyzers in the world today is about 300 megawatts. The first electrolyzer to produce hydrogen at a commercial scale was used at Nangal when the first fertilizer plant was set up there. In the last 2 years, we have seen a large number of projects, large number of demand that has been put for electrolyzers, which together adds up to approximately 17 or 18 gigawatts by 2026. Right? So these are orders that have been placed. Now, it seems from our assessment that approximately half of this would be met by existing capacity, existing renewable energy capacity. But the other half, so let us say about 8.2 gigawatts, would be met by new renewable energy capacity. This is only up till 2026. It is for this reason that we see a convergence between renewables, renewable electricity, and hydrogen production, and we at ISA are working towards enabling this to occur. Through a hydrogen program that we have introduced into the framework of ISA's areas of focus, we look at obviously following the relative economics of hydrogen development from different sources, obviously look at the ways in which utilization can occur, but also look at guidelines that countries can adopt in order to promote renewable energy generation on the one hand and hydrogen production on the other. We expect that in the years till 2026, the vast amount of hydrogen, those 8.2 gigawatts of new capacity that will be built, will largely be built around the places where these electrolyzers have been ordered for. This is in China, Chile, Spain, and Australia. However, this does not rule out the movement of hydrogen from one part of the world to another. Now, movement as hydrogen is very difficult. However, what we are seeing in India, for example, are very interesting initiatives, which are looking at project structures, which are looking at the development of hydrogen from renewable energy, the conversion of this hydrogen into ammonia, and then the transport of ammonia in tankers, something that is done every day, to the places where the electrolyzers would be put. And there the ammonia is reconverted into hydrogen. The point that I'd like to leave with you is that for a variety of reasons, but I think here we can relate ourselves to the two facts that one, it allows more energy efficient utilization of energy, and number two, it allows for the stabilization of the electricity produced by variable sources of energy. We expect hydrogen to become a key factor in the years to come. As I said, current orders suggest that by 2026, there would be approximately 18 gigawatts of electrolyzer capacity, which in turn would mean, well, the second point that I'd like to leave you with is that it doesn't end at 18 gigawatts. By last month, the announced electrolyzer project pipeline had reached over 260 gigawatts, with production aiming till 2029. Today, if we talk to a manufacturer, and we talked to one of them hardly 3 weeks ago, they talk of the huge new orders they've got, and therefore enabling their project production capacity to be enhanced so that the new orders can be met. But we understand that this has already reached 260 gigawatts. This implies that about 475 gigawatts of wind and solar PV capacity would be needed. This is 1/3 of the total installed capacity that exists in the world today of solar and wind. This is large. I would expect that in the years to come, we will see a growth. With production here, with its conversion to ammonia and its supply, particularly to Europe, where we see a demand for high-cost hydrogen, so as to build the market for hydrogen in the longer term. I look forward to work with all of you on this hydrogen production and to see how green electricity, solar electricity and wind electricity in particular, are able to meet these hydrogen scenarios for the future that we see emerging and evolving day by day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting here the potential, the role of the green hydrogen enabled by renewables in this energy transition pathway of India, which over a period of time, with our investments in, with the cost of the renewables coming low, also with the electrolysis technology, it can actually make green hydrogen more cost effective and operationally effective. Thank you so very much, sir. And on this occasion, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the release of the special edition of Indian Wind Power magazine. This is the volume 7. I would like to request Mr. Alok Kumar to kindly release this magazine. This is and all on the days together. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a bi-monthly magazine of IWTMA. This is a volume 7, which is right now being released, and this is dedicated exclusively to this conference which we have and towards a theme. It covers various topics like giving wings to India's clean energy transition, green and clean energy, India for better future, a new horizon, wind power, a key driver for India's net zero emission target by 2070. India is napping wind giant ready to break the slumber. All these various topics have been covered in this. So with that, once again, thank you to all our eminent speakers, and we close this special session.